when it comes to the legendary experiences of his youth. Zhu Yuanzhang stands alone among emperors, both ancient and modern. What emperor ever had to beg on the streets? What monarch ever joined a famine-stricken crowd to survive? The answer is likely Zhu Yuanzhang alone. During his escape, he encountered a diverse cast of characters, experienced complex events, and gained valuable experience and wisdom. Even after ascending the throne, he never forgot the people who helped him on his journey. Zhu Yuanzhang's hometown was Haozhou, now Fengyang County, Anhui Province. In the late Yuan dynasty, this region was struck by a series of natural disasters, one after another, and the devastation continued unabated. A single drought might have allowed the people to persevere, but it was followed by a devastating locust plague. Locusts obscured the sky like a dark cloud, wiping out all greenery wherever they went. Young crops, barely emerging from the soil, were instantly devoured by the locusts. The locust plague not only destroyed crops, but also shattered people's hopes for survival. Many relied on this crop for their livelihoods, only to find that the locusts devoured their crops as soon as they sprouted. Even more devastating, these locusts contained a toxin that could kill anyone who consumed too many. Many people lost the will to live and lay in the fields, awaiting their doom. However, the bodies exposed in the wilderness that brought another calamity to the survivors. Plague. Zhu Yuanzhang tragically lost both his parents and his older brother to the plague, leaving only his second brother, his eldest sister-in-law, and their nephew in her arms. After attending to the funerals, Zhu Yuanzhang and his second brother decided to pursue their own livelihoods, and the teenage boy set out alone to escape the famine. Zhu Yuanzhang first arrived at the nearby Huangjue temple, knowing there would be food there. Landlords with surplus grain often brought it to the temple, claiming it was an offering to the Buddha. And a prayer for his blessing. Whether the Buddha enjoyed it remains unknown, but the monks in the temple undoubtedly enjoyed a hearty meal. And this incense food, naturally, became part of the temple's reserves. Monk Gao Bin of Huangjue Temple, impressed by Zhu Yuanzhang's intelligence, personally ordained him and took him to the temple. Temple life was dull and difficult, and Zhu Yuanzhang found it agonizing. But at least he had something to eat, so he became less picky. However, Zhu Yuanzhang never anticipated that the drought would also affect the temple. The resulting food shortages affected not only the wealthy landlords, but also Huangjue Temple itself. With fewer and fewer people offering incense, and even fewer donating grain, Huangjue Temple's grain reserves dwindled. At this rate, within a month, the monks would face starvation. After deliberation, the temple's leadership decided to send the younger monks on a wandering tour to reduce food consumption. The elderly monks needed assistance even when walking, so they naturally couldn't travel far. Therefore, the burden fell on the shoulders of the younger monks. Zhu Yuanzhang, a common young monk, had no choice but to don a straw hat, carry a broken bowl, and a cane, and leave the temple gates, beginning a life of wandering. Zhu Yuanzhang was only 17 when he left home, and 23 when he returned. During these 3 long years, he traveled extensively across Huaishi, visiting bustling metropolises and remote villages alike, even encountering a romantic partner. One day, Zhu Yuanzhang was traveling from Xinyang to Ruzhou, passing through a small village. It was dusk, and he decided to find some vegetarian food. After 2 walks around the village, Zhu Yuanzhang found it completely silent, as if deserted. However, at mealtime, smoke began to rise from every chimney, which struck him as quite odd. Without a second thought, Zhu Yuanzhang knocked on a door. A young woman, about 20 years old, opened the door. Zhu Yuanzhang explained his purpose, hoping to receive some vegetarian food. Seeing Zhu Yuanzhang as a monk and impressed by his honesty, the woman welcomed him into the courtyard while she served the food. A bowl of sorghum rice was soon presented to Zhu Yuanzhang. Although he was already starving, he solemnly recited a few sutras. Seeing him so, the woman couldn't help but laugh, and this smile instantly brought them closer. Although Zhu Yuanzhang had become a monk, his long travels had taught him some sweet talk. Since the woman wasn't shy, Zhu Yuanzhang struck up a conversation. The two chatted happily until nightfall. Zhu Yuanzhang recounted his experiences to the woman, and she, in turn, shared stories of herself and her village. Because there were no men in the village, many women lived alone in their homes, without even anyone to talk to. Zhu Yuanzhang felt deeply sympathetic after hearing the woman's story. Seeing that it was getting late, Zhu Yuanzhang planned to say goodbye. However, she insisted that he stay, saying that no one else was home. Although Zhu Yuanzhang felt that this was somewhat impolite, he reconsidered, realizing that he wasn't a bad person and that a night wouldn't be a problem. So, he agreed and stayed. The next morning, as Zhu Yuanzhang was about to say goodbye, she asked him to help with some chores. Zhu Yuanzhang felt obliged to help out after having been fed, so he stayed. He worked until noon, when the woman prepared another meal for him. Afterward, Zhu Yuanzhang ate and continued working. Whenever Zhu Yuanzhang was about to leave, the woman would ask for his help, and he stayed for several days. That evening, after finishing his work, Zhu Yuanzhang discovered the woman bringing out a pot of wine, claiming it was her dowry. She invited him to drink. Zhu Yuanzhang, having never tasted alcohol since birth, was filled with curiosity. Eventually, curiosity overcame restraint, and he tried a few drinks. Since it was his first time drinking, he quickly passed out drunk at the table. The next morning, Zhu Yuanzhang woke up and tried to say goodbye to the woman. but she told him she was pregnant with his child and wouldn't let him leave. Zhu Yuanzhang was stunned, trying to recall the events of the previous night, but couldn't. He didn't know if the woman's words were true, but he felt she had saved his life and couldn't abandon her, despite her resistance. Zhu Yuanzhang promised to return to her when he was able, regardless of whether she had children or not. He then smashed the bowl in his hand and picked out 2 prominent pieces, keeping one for himself and one for the woman, giving them as a token of their love. Seeing he was determined to leave, the woman let him go, but she didn't believe Zhu Yuanzhang would return. After returning to Huangjue Temple, Zhu Yuanzhang soon joined the army, beginning his military career. Although he later married Empress Ma, he never forgot Li, who had fled during his escape. After ascending the throne, Zhu Yuanzhang revisited his hometown and personally found Li with a porcelain fragment. He then took her into his harem and recounted this story to Empress Ma.